What I've done, just for the sake of background noise, I've gone ahead and muted everybody out so that we don't have to worry about some of the background noise. Once we get to the Q&A section of different sections that I'll be covering today, I'll unmute you so that you can jump in and ask questions. You also have the ability to ask questions right in our chat box, which you'll see right below your name, and I will see those messages as well. So without further ado, thanks so much for joining us, guys. I want to let you know a little bit about myself. Been with the company just under 20 years, and I, even though do some managing right now and do our sales training, I still do projects myself. So a lot of what I'm going to be sharing with you today is current information as early as today. Actually, I got it ordered through the email. And so I'm going to cover a variety of things today, starting with our systems and how we do things. And then we'll talk about the specifics of our product and a lot of the other items that we'll cover. Every section that I go through in our training today, I'll ask for you to go ahead and give me some input, any questions, and we'll go through some of those questions. I realize that some of you may be on the call and a bit shy, may not ask questions at this time. That's fine. You can always reach out to me afterwards, and we can get on a one-on-one call, and we can cover some of those items as well. So anyway, so what you see on screen right now, hopefully you are in front of a computer so you can see the information I'm going to be covering today. I have a sample of an actual guest directory. This guest directory is from a resort that we were doing in British Columbia, up in Victoria, BC. But you can see a sample of what it's laid out like. I may even show you another one that's brand specific. This one here is more of a boutique type hotel. But the publications that we put together, the guest directories, go in the rooms of the hotels and the resorts that we're working with. These publications include actual inserts and then are all covered by an actual binder. And so what I'm going to show you right here on screen will be a copy of the actual inserts. For a customized boutique hotel, they'll have a lot more content than a lot of times we'll see in the actual brand products. But here in this case, you can at least see it. So, but yeah, just take a look at what I've got on the screen here. I just had a new caller come in. I'm just going to mute you guys if you come in. Directory information that you'll see in the actual publications that they have. Just take a look at this. And then we're going to camp in on the part that you guys will see. In most properties or publications that we do, you'll have information about emergency, hotel information, dialing instructions, TV lineups. A lot of the properties won't allow us to do TV lineups a lot of times now, simply because the cable companies have a tendency to change their lineups twice a year. And so a lot of those properties are doing their own TV lineups and doing it on a placard, laminating that, placing it on the neither television in the rooms. You can see this publication here, so I've laid out. This particular property is a hotel resort, so it's like condominium style, so it's a little bit different. But then you'll have a section for the guide, and the guide section for the actual merchants will include different businesses, some briefs about those companies, and as you get further along into the publication, fire and safety. In that case, because we're in British Columbia, they have earthquakes up there. They'll have information about earthquakes. Depending on the market, it'll customize that for any weather issues. And then you'll have the actual advertisers. Now, this is the section that you guys will be working on, because actually all you're doing in making the publication alive or bringing it free to the actual property is you're going to be selling advertising. And so you're going to sell ads anywhere from half page to full page ads, and you'll see them throughout the publication. And so your role with the company will be selling advertising. The cool thing about what you'll be doing is in every market that you go into, you will be given a project detail, and normally that will come directly from the office. They'll give you your reservation, meaning what hotel or resorts you will be staying at. It'll also give you the details on the actual objective. What exactly is the quota? Meaning that we call it the base, but you'll also know it as a quota. That simply means what exactly is the amount of funds are required to sell for the project to be deemed successful. And that will be given to you prior to getting into the marketplace. So let's use, for example, one area. Let's just say we're talking Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so for Chattanooga, you're about to go into the marketplace. You've got one hotel there. Last year, that hotel sold $5,000 in revenue. So it will be required of you, and actually the objective for you would be to sell at least at $5,000. We will give you details for that property and details for the project in a packet. So when you get to the actual hotel to check in, always ask if there's a package for you. Normally that package will have your name on it. In that package, you will see the following. You'll have the inserts for the actual guest directory, as you see on screen right here. You'll also have proposal sheets. These proposal sheets are the actual documents that we use to pitch the actual ad sale. So when you're physically in front of a client, you'll be able to showcase that. You'll have an ample supply of ad layout forms. Whether you're working for North American Directory or One Stop Hospitality and you're in this call, the documents are fairly similar. Okay, you may see, I'll show you some of those. You'll have ad agreements. You'll actually have ad agreements from the year before, which is really cool because that'll let you know exactly what the client, who the client is, all their details, including their cell number, their email address, and what they paid last year. And if they paid by check, in this case by check, there's a check number 2010. If they're paid by credit card, their credit card information will be on the document here. So you'll have that. You'll also have ample supply of brand new ad agreements. These are ones that have not been written on. And those agreements will be a three-part form, NCR, meaning you actually will have 3 sheets on top of each other. The white copy will be the original, that's for the office, followed by a yellow copy, which you'll retain for your own records, followed by the pink copy. When the client signs the contract, you will be able to give that to them. Ad layout form or art guidelines, that's a document that we use when a client says, hey Mark, I want to go and design my own ad, I've got someone in my own graphics, can do my graphics for me. We will provide this art guideline document to them so they will know what the acceptable files are for designing their own campaign. All right, so it's really cool to be able to give that to people who design their own ads. There's a sample for the one for One Stop Hospitality. Their publication sizes may be different, their books, and so you will see based on the type of publication we're doing what the requirements are. And then finally, you'll also have weekly sales commission record. These are the actual documents you will use, and we'll cover all of these forms here in a bit, how to use them, how to fill them out. But this will be the document that you use to fill out your payroll every 2 weeks. You'll fill this information out. So those are the documents that you'll have in your package, and that package will give you everything you need to get started. What I want to cover today, guys, is first of all, is the actual role. What exactly is the position you've come on board with? We have a variety of names for it, whether it's an ad consultant, concierge consultant, sales rep, account executive. And every time you go out into the marketplace, your role will be the same, simply to sell advertising in that market. And so the type of advertising you will cover, and I will cover some of that this morning when we go through the specifics of prospecting, will include a variety of businesses. And these are businesses that want access to tourism, okay? So I always say, look at things like, what would you like to do if you were to go on vacation? And then expand your thought there. What would others like to do when going on vacation? People want to go whale watching tours. They want to go on tours. They want to do attractions. They want to go wineries. They want to eat at restaurants. They want to go to the day spa. They want to shop, boutiques, and things like that. Expand. Think about some of those things because those are the types of businesses that want access to our services. So what I want to cover, guys, is the prospecting element of what we do. How exactly do you find the actual clients and sell those clients? And what I want to do is I want to talk about the prep work. This is prep work prior to getting into the marketplace. This is very, very, very important. And so before you ever get to a city, and normally you will get your assignment documents, your reservation and details, usually within, it's usually anywhere from 48 to 72 hours out. And so what I suggest that you do is jump on, as soon as you know where you're going, jump on the following details. Number one, I always say things to do, and TripAdvisor is one of my favorites. And so what I'll do is I'm going to show you this right here in Google. I'm just going to go right to Google. I'm going to do a Google search on the name of the city or the state in the area that I'm working. In this case, an example is Great Falls, Montana. I'm going to go to TripAdvisor because TripAdvisor is one of the best. It gives you some great rating systems. You've gotten some feedback already from clients who've actually gone to those areas. I'm going to go and click on restaurants. Now, there's some things I want to look for when I'm actually doing my prospecting. Number one, I'm going to find the name of the business. And you can see here in this particular area, you've got 17 pizza restaurants, 4 steakhouses, 8 Mexican restaurants, and so on and so forth. What I want to find is not only the name of the business and the address and the phone number, I also want to find out if they have an email address. And if you can see off to the right-hand side, right below location of contact, there's an email address. When I scroll over email, you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, eat@roadhousegf.com. Over 80% of the clients that are posted on TripAdvisor have email addresses. And there's a reason why I want you to get those email addresses. And this is preparatory work prior to going into the marketplace. And so I get that email. I've sent you guys a sample in email. Hopefully you're one of the people who got that email. If for some reason you didn't get emails of documents and things in the video regarding this particular training, let me know that. I'll just go and put my email information in right now because I want to make sure you get everything everyone else has gotten so that you can be successful at what you do. My email is being put in here. But what I want to do is make sure you get this information because I have a standard template that I use when emailing clients. Now you're asking, why would you want to email clients prior to going there? Here's why. Because if you do prep work, guys, especially when you're in the larger cities, cities that are 100,000 and up, you'll find a lot of times when you get into those cities, if you're doing a lot of stop-bys, you may get very frustrated if you can't find the decision maker. And so what we've found in a lot of cases is that the bigger the city, the harder it is to find those decision makers when you just do stop-ins. And so what I want to do is I want to be strategic about how I do that. I want to shoot them an email. I want to make a phone call so that I can book that face-to-face with that decision maker. And that decision maker is that person who can give you a check or a credit card. So if you can actually physically see these people, the chances of closing the deals is just going to go up. So what I don't want to do is just have you just do a lot of stop buys. Now, stop buys are awesome and they work really, really well in the smaller towns because when you go into a smaller market, you will see that those owners are still working their shops, their businesses. They're the ones sometimes behind the counter. So you're able to walk in and do a face-to-face presentation. But in the bigger cities, email, phone calls work to be able to get you in front of the person you need to see. And so I suggest that you do that. So anyway, you get that email address. And I'll show you a sample of one I'm literally just finishing up right now. I'm about to do, I'm doing a market, started doing a market last week, or actually this week. And what I did is I did generic emails. And so I sent out the generic email, and you can see it on screen right here. The subject title, and I'll send you guys all a copy of this as well. I send out a subject title of the actual properties I'm about to work. I suggest that they join our concierge program. I give them a breakdown of the details. And the only thing I ask you to change is the name of the business and the category. And then you're also going to change the name of your hotels. And so I put that information in my email. I also put the addresses of the particular properties that I'm working. In this email, they'll also see how many actual hotel rooms and or condos I'm reaching out to through our guest count of 243,000. And I love to throw this in here. I love to throw in that I only have a certain amount of opportunities because what I don't want is just open-ended. Now, granted, I could sign up more than 15 people, but if they know that there's some element of restriction or a level of cap, then they may be more eager to jump on board because they see there's a level, there should be some urgency behind their decision making. And so what happens a lot of times, guys, is I'll get a response to this email and they'll simply say, hey, I'm interested, love to know more. Can you tell me some information? Can you give me some details? And so what I'll normally do, emails are only done for me to book a face-to-face appointment. So what I do is I got a response, I get on the call with them, I book my face-to-face, and now I'm in the door to be able to close the deal. I don't always put the name of the businesses that are currently advertising with us, but sometimes I do. In this case, it built some great credibility for me. And some of the clients have responded simply because they see some of their friends are already advertising with us. But anyway, I'll send you guys a copy of this. But number one way to prospect, and one of the most popular ways, is utilizing TripAdvisor. So I suggest that you do that. And again, this is prep work. This is prior to ever getting into the marketplace. Number two is the Chamber of Commerce. Now keep in mind, you're going to get some overlap. Some of the folks that you saw on TripAdvisor, you may also see on Chamber of Commerce. If you're going to do an email campaign, don't email them a second time. You've already made a note of it. Hey, I've already shot an email to the restaurant. Don't need to shoot them another email. But do a follow-up call. Keep in mind, guys, with the emails, you need to be able to control the narrative. And what I normally do is within 24 to 48 hours, whether they respond or not, I'm on a phone call. I'm going to call. And the call simply goes like this. Hi, I'm looking for the person who handles advertising or marketing. Oh, yeah, that's Fred. Fred gets on call. Hey, Fred, Mark Palmer. Hey, I shot you an email about the concierge program. Oh, yeah, I saw that. It's just been busy. Or maybe I haven't seen it yet. Hey, no worries, man. I wanted to see if I could, and then you go through the sales pitch with regard to the call, which I'll show you guys in a bit. But you want to make sure you hit those really hard. So TripAdvisor, Chamber of Commerce. Downtown associations are awesome. And I've seen these to be very successful in the smaller markets. A lot of times you'll go into smaller markets of 100,000 people or less, and the downtown association has anywhere from 50 to 100 members. And that's awesome because if you can get in front of the downtown association simply by doing an email, getting on a phone call with perhaps their chair or their president of the association, you let them know that you're putting together the concierge program for such and such hotels and or resorts. And you'd be amazed by sometimes the support that you'll get. Sometimes you'll get such great support that they will actually send out a simple email letting them know that, letting their guests or their members know that you may be contacting them. This is awesome. I take advantage of this big time. I do it same thing with the chamber. If I can get the chamber head on a call, I'll let them know I like to put together discounted pricing for their members to be a part of our concierge program. So these people are keen to work with us, very keen to work with us. And so what I will do is I will just do what I can to get those guys involved. So the other one that's really important too is looking at the restaurant associations. Restaurant associations in bigger cities are very, very good to work with. And so if you get into a big city, I would say ahead of time, you want to definitely reach out to them as well. Again, the overlap will be consistent, guys. You're going to see some of the same companies. Don't email them a second time. Just don't. But you will see them. So take advantage of that. Look, the other thing too to mention about Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce websites normally, if you'll do a search for it in that particular area you're working in, they will not only have the contact person's information, but a lot of times they'll have a direct email right there on that website. So it's a great way to get email resources as well. All right. Finally, when you physically get to the location, so now you've got your reservation, you're physically at the place, you're checking in. And when you check in the front desk again, make sure you ask for your package. They will get you a package from our office. And then also start looking at the rack cards at the front desk. I always say that the business is within 45 minutes of that hotel. That's a prospect for us. So take advantage of that. Most of the ones that are in rack cards are the same types of companies that want access to the hotel guests. And that's why they're advertising there. And so you want to take advantage of that and get as many of those as possible. All right. And then finally, since your package is going to include the hotels or the resorts that we're working, make sure you get the information you need regarding the properties that we're working. Make sure you find out which properties in the area we're not working. Because if we get a package to you, we will tell you which hotels or resorts we have contracts with. That means that the ones that not in your package are the ones we're not working with. So I want you to do is stop by and get some leads. I'll explain to you what I mean by that. You want to stop by the local hotel, close, usually in proximity to where you're staying. You want to stop by the front desk. And I always just say, hey, I'd love to see one of your rooms. They think I want to check in. I don't. I just want to see their rooms. I can see what's in their guest directory. And you want to go up to their room. You want to see if they have a guest directory in their room. If for some reason they don't, let me know. Maybe we can sign them up. If for some reason they do, you want to take a look at who's in their book, who's advertising in their publication. Here's why. Because those advertisers that are currently in their publications are the same types of companies that would advertise with us. So you want to take notes. Full page ad Pizza Hut, full page ad Bento Sushi, half page ad Sassy Bass, Island Grill. So you got the name of these businesses, and now when you get back to your your property, you can make phone calls. Hi, John. Hey, I'm looking for the advertising person who handles the advertising, Sassy Bass Island Grill. You get on the phone. Hey, John, Mark Palmer. Hey, realize that you guys are doing some advertising over at the Super 8. I'm putting together the concierge program for such and such hotel. We'd love to stop by and learn more about your business. See if it makes sense to send you some business. Awesome. Come on through. Because these guys are a lot more open. Why? Because they're already advertising in such publications. So those are our prospecting ways. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to unmute you guys. Again, I keep you muted so that we don't have a lot of background noise. And I'm unmuting you now so that you can jump in with any questions you may have about the items I've covered thus far. So go and jump in. You guys have been unmuted. And don't the only way I can help you is that you jump in with questions. So go for it. Any questions at all about what I've covered thus far? Prospecting or your role?
No.
So it means I've either done a great job or you guys are extremely shy. If you're extremely shy, I'd be afraid because you've got to be in this business to be. Any questions at all?
I'm not shy. I've been in this business 30 years. So
awesome. You're good, man. You're awesome. Any questions? Any clarity you need on any of the items I've covered so far?
No questions here.
Awesome.
No questions here.
I love it. Love it. All right, cool.
Down here.
All right, guys. So let's go and cover the actual project. So what I say is this is mostly what your day-to-day should look like or could look like if you follow some of the things I do. What I normally will do in my day is I will usually spend some of my morning on calls, booking actual appointments. Now keep in mind, guys, if you're in the smaller cities, go face to face with these people. Just go door to door. Why? Because your owners are most likely going to be working the operations. So you'll go in. I say sometimes in the smaller towns, even larger towns, you can do that. But what you want to do is shift the way you do things if day one there was no success. Meaning you've already called on 50 people the first day by doing stop bys, and you've seen one person. And you're like, wow, that was frustrating. Maybe the next day you change it up a bit. Maybe you get on calls, you book some actual presentations that way, and now you can go ahead and set it up. So what I normally do is I'll spend 2 hours a day on the phone. I'll actually book appointments. I'm booking appointments throughout the week. So I have this rule of thumb that if you can have 5 solid appointments per day, and that's a decision maker. You're not meeting with a waitress or the secretary. You're meeting with a person who can give you a check or a credit card. But if you can get 5 of those every single day, you have the opportunity to maximize your sales. That's 25 actual meetings per week. And on average, our reps are closing anywhere from 35 to 45% of those. So if you can get that and you've got 25, you're looking at 10 ads that you've just sold for the week. And in some cases, 10 ads will cover the full base of what your project would look like. That could be the full amount. Now, dealing with the project details, guys, give you an idea when it comes to your travels. When you're actually doing a project can take anywhere from 5 to 10 days, 10 business days, depending on the size of the project. The bigger projects where you've got reps that are doing big resort projects, those can take a lot longer. But keep in mind, if you're interested in those projects, you have to prove yourself with some of the small things, and then be willing to do overnights and stays for a good duration away from home. But on average, you're looking at about 5 business days. However, if you're doing a small project and it's $5,000, as that example I shared earlier, and you hit that, and it's only scheduled for 5 days, but you close it out in 3 days, that's awesome. Just let myself know or Carrie know that you've completed your project, and we will look for another project for you if you want to just go ahead and go to the next project at that point. You don't have to stay on a project once you've exceeded it. And a lot of times the way that looks is this: if you've hit your base, let's say you've got the 5,000, but you're closer to you see another $2,500 is pending, but you got a couple of more days. Go and close that. Go and get that extra $2,500. So now you're at $7,500. If you see that there's just a lot of business, and you're like, man, Mark, I'm at 7,500, and I still got another 10 that I could close. let your sales manager know that, and they will do what they can to get extended reservation for you. When we have potential in the marketplace, there's no reason for you to leave early. And in that case, guys, just so you know, when it comes to your base being hit, we require that you stay on the project and let us know if there's issues. And I always say when it comes to reporting, it's vital, especially for those who are new. Let us know daily. How's it going? How's it going? I want to know. I was on a call this morning with a rep, and I was like, wow, I wish I would have known you were that far behind. I can help you when I know you're struggling. But we've got so many reps, guys. It's hard for us to chase you down. It's so much easier for you to just give us a phone call. Hey, Mark, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. I haven't closed anything in 2 days. Let's see what we can do to tweak the way you're doing things. Perhaps we can change up the way you're doing your presentation. Maybe there's some things I can give you that can help you to start hitting sales and hitting some of the numbers necessary. And so reporting is vital. So one of the things that we do require is that every Tuesday and every Thursday, at the end of your business day, send us over what you've sold. Now, granted, we will already know what your quota or what your base is. All we need to know is how much you've sold thus far and how much of that you've collected thus far. Give us that report on Thursday and on Tuesdays. And it's important that we see that because, again, we can help you. And again, usually out the gate, I've seen this a lot of times with the newer reps. Communicating, guys, is so absolutely essential because, again, we can help you if we know you're struggling. So just let us know, hey, I'm struggling, and we'll figure out a way to help you out. So make sure you do that. When it comes to the full project, though, we call a project complete when the base has been covered. So once you've hit the actual goal at hand or the base or the quota, that's considered a successful project. And at that point, I always say even a day or two before that, so you know you're close to closing it out. And if you want to go ahead and do another project right away, just communicate with us right away. Hey, Mark, I need a new project. I'm almost finishing up on Friday or whatever it is. And so that way we can jump on reservations and have it ready to go for you guys as early as Monday. So it's important that you just let us know what's happening there. All right. Let's talk about documents and forms. These are the forms that you're going to need to get familiar with using. I'm going to show you this first one here. This is one that's been filled out, and this is for every single advertiser that you sign up. This is the one for North American Directory. So the information we're going to need is in placement location. First of all, what type of print project are you doing? Are you doing a resort directory? Or are you doing a hotel motel directory? Either one. We just need you to check those off. You'll also see at the top of the screen where it says TV channel tent cards and also key cards. If that's something you're interested in learning more about, you can reach out to me and I can point you in the right direction. Keep in mind, though, if you were to sell those while doing a project, the numbers that you sell regarding those products do not count toward your base or your quota. So if your base or quota is $5,000 and you sold $1,500 worth of tent cards, that does not apply towards your base. You still have to sell advertising separate and apart for the guest directory. Placement location, that's going to be exactly where is the publication going. Is it going in, what hotel rooms is it going into? Is it going into a particular real estate company, a resort? Whatever detail we have on those properties, we need to have that. And I normally will say, if you've got more than 6 properties, it's really hard to write a lot of it on the document here. Sometimes it's best just to attach the proposal sheet so we know which properties it's going into. Or if you want to go and create a separate sheet with the name of the properties, that's fine as well. But if it's not that many, you can go and just write them in here. We'll also need the name of the business, the street address, the phone number, the fax number, and the cell number. Email address is huge because we definitely want to be able to do our follow-up, and our marketing department wants to, or actually our department will want to send artwork, proofing processes through that particular email, so make sure we get that information correct. Their city, their state, and their zip code. Finally, the ad size. In this case, it was a 2-page ad. They bought it for $9.50. And you'll see off to the right, it says 150 TRA. That means trade. They actually sold the ad and also got $150 in the form of a gift certificate, most likely to utilize, whether they were going to use it for themselves or what. And then when it comes to the payment options, what I normally will say, if a client is paying the amount in full, like in this case was $9.50, there's no need to put anything off to the left. But for some reason, clients not always pay in full. Let's say a client only paid 50% of that or gave you $400. We have a balance of 550. We would need to know off to the left, how are we collecting that 550? Are we going to collect that in a couple of weeks? Are we going to collect that in 30 days? Whatever it is, and whichever way we're going to collect that, make sure you note that under the payment option so that the office will know once they get that information. All right. And then down below, if the client is paying by check, you'll put the check number in there as well. And then if it's by credit card, they will fill out the credit card information. They will sign it where it says authorization. And then at the very bottom, they will sign where it says advertiser's authorization, manager, where it says the title or whatever the title is. And then right below that, you will print their name. And then where it says buy is be where your signature will go. And then you'll also date the date of the actual contract. All right, that's your ad agreement. Let me show you the ad layout form. An ad layout form is used for us to maintain what exactly will the ad look like, give us some type of guidance. Now, granted, guys, we do not want you designing any ads. Don't get into that even if you can. But what we want from you is layout structure. How does the client want the ad to be laid out? Okay, and we're going to go through that in a few seconds. But the first thing we want on this is we want to be able to get the same information as far as placement location. I'm going to go and put that information in there again, city and state, the name of the business, all of the basic information here. What may change, however, is your email address, because the contact person for the actual art may be different than the person who signed the contract. And so you want to just find that out when you chat with them and say, who exactly am I going to be dealing with? They may have somebody in their office who handles that, or they may have an agency who designs their ad. If that is the case, we want to make sure we have that contact person's name, their cell number, and their email address. It could be different, so let's make sure we get that. Email, cell, and their contact information. Also denoting the size of their ad. And then what I normally will do, and make sure that the proof required is checked, and how are they delivering that proof? The office will normally deliver that via email. And then what I normally do is I'll take this sheet of paper and I'll flip it over so I have a blank slate to work with. And with that blank slate, what I will do is I will show the client samples of what our ads look like. Okay, and I'll show you that. And I'll send you guys a copy of that, by the way. You may have had that. Let's see if I can find one here. Here we go. So a sample ad. So a client says, hey, Mark, we want our logo at the very top. Just create a small box and write in the word logo placed here. So the office will get it. They will know the logo is going to be placed there. And then the client says, hey, I've got 4 images. So image 1, we can write the size of the image, not the actual size, but just create a dimension box. And then the image will go there, primary image. And I always call them image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, and I'll explain to you in a bit why. Right here, we write in the word image 1. Right here, we write in the word image 2. Right here, we write in the word image 3, and then down below, image 4. So when the office receives this document and also the artwork, they will know exactly where the images go according to how we've laid it out in the document. So, all right. And we'll go through some Q&A guys in a few seconds if you have any questions. And then any other questions like bullet points, if the client has some bullet points, perhaps they have, in this case, the pricing points, their purchase information, their website information. We're going to go and just write that into the actual the ad layout form. And then what happens is when the office gets this and gets all of the necessary materials to design the ad, they will design the ad, and they will put together a proofing process with that particular client. And at that point, you don't have to worry about it. You're off to sell your next ad. So, all right. So that's a lot of information right there. So what I'm going to just go in is unmute you guys. Let's see if you have any questions regarding the document. Now, keep in mind, I know that some of you guys on the call have done this and you're in sales with us already. So a lot of this is so elementary. It's more for the new people. If you got any questions, let me know. Any questions regarding the contract, how to fill it out, how to fill out the ad layout forms, or any questions? Go for it.
Mark, Aaron Rose. Question as far as on the agreement and payment, obviously as much up front. Can you hear me?
Can I hear you? Sorry about that. If you want to just ask a question, By typing it into the chat box, that would suffice. Anyone else have a question?
All good.
Okay.
Good.
Awesome. No questions.
Is this better?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted, there was a lot of background noise before. My question is on the agreement and payment, obviously as much upfront as we can collect, if not in full. But on balance due, what is the typical, I mean, I've read through some of the emails, what is the typical, if somebody pays 500 up front, they've still got 1,200 left. Can we do monthly, or do we stay away from that and we try and collect as much within 30 to 90 days, or what is that time frame as far as payment? Obviously as much as we can, as fast as we can, but.
Yeah, excellent question. Excellent question. What I normally will say is, maximize that collection, because maximizing that collection, obviously, that means your check's going to be bigger, because
Right.
what we never do is we never prepay on invoiced accounts. And so you want to collect that. Now, let me share something with you briefly, and I'll answer your question. You will come across advertisers last year, they're going to be in your packet, who perhaps were invoiced. Never ever assume that an invoiced account means invoice today. Okay, what it could have been, he could have been, or she could have been in a financial, situation where they couldn't afford to pay it up front last year. This year, always be assumptive and simply ask, John, do you want to handle that payment this year with a check or credit card? And just wait. They'll surprise you. Sometimes they will pay it in full. If they will not pay it in full, the way I normally will do it is this. Sometimes invoicing simply means, Mark, I can't give you a check today. Can you stop by Friday? That's what it really means. You have to ask that question. So I'll say, John, would it be better if I pick up a check on Friday? It's because I'm still in town. I want to get that check. So that's number two. If you see that they can't give you a check while you're there, then at that point, offer the options of net 14, net 30. And I want to really stop at net 30 at this point, because remember, you don't get paid until we get paid. So if you get to net 30 and the guy's like, well, now you're dealing with a client who's just, they're strapped. Maybe that wasn't the best sell, but you got to still get it done. So then you want to look at net 60, but I wouldn't go further than that. When it comes to the actual monthly payments, because the amounts are so small, I mean small, with print advertising, $1,500 on the max, you'll probably see maybe one for 2,000. That's not a lot of money. I would say if you've got a $2,000 order, the minimum rule would be 60% down would be the goal. The minimum would be, that, and then, if you have to go, if you absolutely have to go to 50%, that's fine. So that means you at least get a commission for the $1,000. And then on the balance, just reach out to your manager in advance. You can shoot them a text. Hey, I've just got a question, got a client. They need to go ahead and pay monthly. What are the options? And I would normally say 2 payments. All right. So the balance of $500, 1 month, the final, and the next month. So that means you only invoiced out a total of 60 days. You don't want to go much further than that. But again, if you need to go further than that, just confirm with your manager. We can do it. It's not something we want to do, because again, now we're looking at the possibility of having to chase money, which is not what we're in. We're in the
Right.
of selling advertising.
Right. Yeah, perfect. No, I was selling $2,000 to $4,000 annual print receipt tape advertising. So this is awesome, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot easier for you. Totally.
All right. Thank you.
No worries. All right. Any other questions regarding the document or the ad layout form?
Is the company active in collecting NSFs?
I don't know the answer to that. In my 20 plus years, I have never, here, I'll be honest with you. It's funny. In my 20 plus years, or just under 20 years, I've probably had one NFF that I can remember. And that's just me personally selling. It's so rare because the amounts are so small. And that's why you ask those questions. You're going to ask the right questions while you're with that client. John, 1,595, is that going to work today with a check or credit card? And if they say no, find that sweet spot so you don't worry about the NFS. Don't want to have them overextending, because then you don't get paid. So yeah, just find that happy medium. But I haven't seen it much, so I can't really answer that question, because I haven't seen myself but one in my close to 20 years.
Question.
Yes.
Is the trade amount that we collect, is that considered payment to us?
Yeah, you don't get a commission on
That,
it. For example, here's what I suggest, and a lot of reps do this, and this is not just for us. This is all across media purchasing or selling. A lot of times, people use trade to get the deal done. So you're with the client says, Mark, I just cannot afford $1,100 ad. I just can't. Okay, John, well, here's what I can do. How about $950? Yeah, that's much better. And then give me a $150 gift certificate. Yep, that works. Let's do it. So now you've got that 100.
which is fine.
Yeah, go on.
But is that 150 deducted from any of the other commissions that we make?
Not at all. Not at all. That 150
Okay.
is the way you close the deal, plus a way for you to eat for free.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I would say about 90% of advertising people in this space use it to close a deal. Yeah, because I would much rather you walk out the door with 950 than to walk out with zero because you were so stern on that 1100. And the client's like, nope, won't buy it. And then the next person walks in, they sell advertising, and they get a 950 and 150. And you're like, darn, why didn't I take it? And keep in mind, guys, with trade, just briefly, I use trade, but I use trade two ways. I use trade for myself and for the staff at the hotel or resort because they're a part of my team. What I mean is this. What I want is I want to make sure my guest services manager that I'm dealing with on a regular basis at the hotel gets a chance to try the restaurants as well. Why? Because I want her and her team to be a word of mouth advertising billboard for that client. So that next year when I show up, the client says, yeah, I want to renew. Not only because he got responses from the in-room publication, but he also got response and traction from the front desk. He doesn't even know that. But what I did is I got that 150. I got it in increments of $50. I got 3 gift certificates. I used one and I gave away 2. I always use my gift certificates to benefit my concierge or the front desk people. So take advantage of that. Otherwise, the other thing too, if you eat too much of it, it's easy to get fat in this business, guys. If you're just eating all the trade. So use trade to your advantage so that you're maximizing your commissions. Any other questions?
Not yet.
All right.
Nope.
Okay, because right now it sounds so quiet, so I'm going to keep you guys unmuted. So if someone gets loud, I'll just mute them. One of the things that's real important in our business is pricing and rate card integrity. You will see a lot of times in our industry, rate card is only that. It's a card, with numbers on it. But the flexibility is absolutely huge. Now in our business, we normally do a markup where we've got about a 40% window. So what I mean by that is you have the ability to go and you're looking on screen right now, price point of $19.95. Now it's for a year for this property. $19.95. I knew going in I could drop it by 40%. I knew that. So what you do, and guys, I want you to see this because you're gonna get to markets, and you're gonna open up your package, and you're gonna see rate card extreme, meaning reps who have sold it at 80% below rate card, but it was accepted. So I'm just telling you up front. A lot of times you will see rate cards that's crazy. Now, I say the norm is 40%. That's where it should be. You have that ability to work from that number with trade to get the deal done. But the ones that are going to be before you, meaning the ones that have already been sold, that have already been grandfathered in, a lot of these clients will fight you tooth and nail not to pay much more. But I always ask every single market you go in, if you see those kind of crazy numbers, get something more, guys, even if it's $20 more, get more. And the way I usually approach it is this, John, I can't believe it. Our price points are $19.95. I can't believe you got it for $1,000. That's insane. Now, John, I can't honor that. That's crazy. Well, John, what I can do, I can go and give it to you for $1,100, but I need you to keep that between you and I so that no one else in the community knows that you're getting such a deal. Okay, guys, now, I'm saying that for a reason. Because I don't want everybody in the community to know you can get it for $1,100 when I've got a rate card of $19.95. So you want to work that, guys. Get as much as you possibly can, even on those renewals. But keep in mind, some of them will fight you. Let them fight. Try and get something more, okay? Every single time you meet with a client. Now, you will come across some clients who don't know much about advertising sales, so they don't even know the ability to negotiate. They'll see $19.95. They know they have it in the budget, and they'll pull out a check and say, let's go for it, okay? Those are awesome. They're rare, but they're awesome, But I will say this also. In smaller markets, in smaller towns, people talk. Okay? So the smaller the town, people talk. So that rate card integrity is humongous in those markets because you do not want to be selling one guy $19.95 and you go down the street and you sold his buddy for $8.95. I'm telling you, that will just blow up in your face. So be somewhat consistent in how you present these numbers. All right. So your rate card, the way you guys will have this proposal sheet will always have the name of the hotels and the resorts that we're going to distribute to. It will also have the total room count for the properties that we're working and the annual guest count. So you'll see on screen right here, it says 121,000 plus guests. And then the final number, the ones that they really want to know is what exactly will it cost me, Mark? And we will also have your name, your title, and your phone number on the rate card. And so if you ever have any questions, you'll be able to have that information, just refer to it. Now, with the rate card, guys, I always say never leave that behind. Let's say you're doing stop bys. You're just one of those days where you're just going to stop by everybody and their mama. And what you do not want to do is stop by a location or a business and just drop off rate cards. Don't do that because rate cards speak for themselves. People will judge you based on the rate card, even though your personality could have brought them into a sale. They will throw this away and not give you the time of day because they've seen the price. Don't do that. Don't leave a rate card. What only time I leave a rate card is after the client has bought the deal. They've said yes. They have my information. Otherwise, don't leave a rate card. All right. Trying to delete somebody or no, mute someone. Some noise there in the background. Any questions regarding rate card?
Nope.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Okay. Let's go. Let's look at so pricing again. And guys, if you have a question about pricing once you're there, um, here's what I normally do. And I'm going to put my information in here. I already put my email in there. My phone number is on screen. I just put it into the chat box. It's also on screen there, by the way. If you get your project details, and what I'm going to try and do, I'll be getting your project details when you get yours. What I like to do is set up an actual one-on-one phone call with you prior to you going into the field, so we can put together a plan of action and a strategy for success. And we'll do that. I'll do that initially with you. And then the other thing too is from time to time I do one-on-one calls if you're interested, and you can tell Tate Ellinger that, hey, I would like to be on Mark's team. And then that means I'll give you a 30-minute phone call once a week. I'll just give you a coaching call. We'll work on items. I want to do whatever I can to make you successful in this business, and whatever it takes to get you there, I will do my best. So keep that in mind. When it comes to contacting me, I always suggest that you shoot me a text first because I am busy. So either I'm on another phone call and sometimes I'm in the field myself. Just text me, hey, Mark, I got a question. And I'll reach out to you usually within 5 minutes of the text. So, all right. Let's talk about reporting. Or I already talked about reporting. One of the things, let's talk about the presentation part, and then we're going to talk about actually before presentation, let's talk about the weekly commission record. So keep in mind, I said earlier that every 2 weeks you'll be sending in your package. In that package, what you will be sending in, number one, will be your ad agreements. That's every ad agreement that you signed up. Now keep in mind, you've got a copy of the original. The client, no, I'm sorry, you send us the original. You get the copy of the yellow copy, and then the pink copy will go to the client at the time of signing. And then what you'll be sending in is you'll be sending in the ad agreement along with the ad layout form. All right. So every time you send in your package, you'll have an ad agreement attached to the ad layout form, paper clip with a check. If you've got a check, it's credit card information will be right on the document. Now, what you'll also be sending in when you send in your paperwork is you'll have the clients make sure the clients email those artwork. So we need to know the digital files are coming over. So I tell you, they can send it directly to the artwork, a guided guest, or artwork, a guest directory, depending on which company you're working with. But make sure that when they send us a copy of those files, that they mention the name of the properties and the city and state, most important city and state and property. So we have that. So when the office receives 8 images, they know that those 8 images are going into the ad for that particular client, and they know exactly where it's supposed to be with the design. Otherwise, guys, they'll be confused as to where it's to go, okay? So it's important that you do that. The weekly sales commission record, here's how it's filled out, okay? Here's one I did actually in Vegas. Okay, so off to the left, property names. That will be the name of the properties that you're working. Off to the right, direct deposit is how we're going to pay you. You're also going to put in the city and the state. Where it says partial or final, that number is based on the quota. So I was mentioning earlier that number of $5,000. So if $5,000 is indeed the quota, you have to at least hit over that number to make it a final package, all right? In this case, my numbers, as you can see down below, is 17,030, and my quota was 16,500. I actually closed another one. I just never added it to this sheet. And so what you're going to fill out in this document is you're going to fill out the name of the business, here in sample Clark County, how much they paid, and how much of that you received. That means how much did you collect that day, all right? And this client's $895. I collected the full amount. Next one, Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. They paid $1,500. I collected $1,500. Chica's $800, so on and so forth. Now, this document, and I've already emailed this over to you guys, will do a calculation for you of the totals. So you'll actually have your total sale calculated for you. You'll also have the total of the cash received calculated for you. And finally, the cash receivables. Now, I can't remember who asked that question earlier. I wasn't sure if it was Randy, but you can see here, Randy, or whoever it was, that I'm looking to collect as much as I possibly can. And so I usually collect about 90% of my ads. So if I'm selling $10,000 worth of ads, I'm collecting 9,000. So you want to do that. Why? Because every 2 weeks you're getting paid on that 16,000. So, you do the math on that based on your contract, what your commissions would be for that period. But you want to be able to collect as much as you possibly can. But this is how you fill out this document. This document here is a 2-part form. The original will be a white one and followed by a yellow one. The yellow one will be for your records. The white one will be attached when you send in your ad agreement and your ad layout form. All right. I also sent you guys a copy of a UPS account contract. The UPS account number is attached to a contract you'll need to sign. If you haven't signed that, make sure you mention that to me, and I'll make sure I send you that if you haven't gotten it. But that'll allow you to use our UPS account number at a significantly discounted rate. And when you send in your package, we suggest that you go to the UPS store and send it in. That way you'll have a tracking number. One of the first things I do when I get to the city is I find out where the UPS store is. And what you want to ask the UPS client or the UPS clerk is, what time is your cutoff on Saturday or Friday? Okay, and what I mean by cutoff for express delivery. So if your package is due to our office on Monday, you can normally ship it out on Saturday, but you need to ask them, guys, because we're not responsible for you getting your package to us on time. So you need to check. So check with their clerk. They'll tell you, okay, you need to be here, Mr. Palmer, at 12 p.m. That's what time the driver gets here. So that means you have to have your paperwork in order, filled out, all your payments ready to go, clipped onto your contracts, and you put that into an envelope, and then you fill that information out with a air label. And guys, if you haven't seen what an air bill label looks like, I'll email that over later because I realized I didn't do that earlier. And you'll see a sample of an air bill label filled out. So yeah, you'll fill that out. Keep in mind, guys, air bill labels, this is important that I note this. The air bill labels, or way bill they call them, they are not available at the UPS store. UPS store will only give you the overnight express envelopes. So you can get those there, but you can't get the labels. There's a reason for that, because they want to be able to have you ship through them so they can make their small commission. However, you can always do a Google search when you're in the city for UPS box. The UPS box or the UPS service center, the main one, you can get supplies. And so I always make sure I grab envelopes and I grab the labels in advance. So you'll have that information you need to be able to send your packages off when you get to the cities that you go into. So it's really important that you have that information. Again, you can't get paid on time if you don't send in your paperwork on time. And it's so important, guys, make sure your paperwork is legible as possible. So when the office gets it, they can read it. They don't have to call you up. Hey, Mark, what does this say? Can't read it. You know? So do that. Keep in mind, guys, what happens when the office receives our packages? There's two different areas they're going to go to. So we've got add agreements. We'll go directly to our accounting department. And all right, that is. Sorry about the noise, guys. I don't know who that is. I'm trying to mute him. Whoever, if you could just mute your phone if you know you've got background noise. I was trying to keep you guys unmuted, but there was some background noise. Anyway, any questions about any of the items thus far that I've covered?
I have a question.
Yes.
On the commission form,
Uh-huh.
where it says cash receivables, is that the difference between what the advertiser paid and what they owe?
Yes. If you can look at, I've got a sample on screen right now. On screen, you can see Bocho Sushi, $1,000 ad. 500 of that I received up front. 500 of that I had to invoice. So yeah, that's the difference.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference. The same is true of like the Indian, Pure Indian. Their purchase price was $700. They paid $375. Their invoice amount was $375. But again, yeah. So in the case of invoices, there's a difference between what they paid and the balance.
Now, if we get trade, do we need to include that on any reports or?
Only on the agreement. If you can see on screen right now, I've got a sample of the actual trade agreement. Oops, for just a second.
Okay.
Right there, you'll see $950 for the ad. Off to the right of that, it says plus 150 TRA.
Okay.
So we know, and the cool thing, there's two reasons why we want that. One, if we know it was $150 to close the deal, and for some reason next year you're not going back, you're going to another market. So the new rep who goes to that market knows that that ad was sold $950 plus 150. So it makes it easier for them going in and knowing exactly how the deal was closed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good question, by the way. All right.
Mark,
Yes, go for it.
if you do take a off-dated check, where would that be noted on the?
If you take a post-dated check, you said?
Correct.
Yeah, it's on the.
If you go back to the.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, right there on the end, you would just note it. See where it says post-dated check?
All right. So nothing would go in cash received or cash receivables. It would the whole amount would go into post date.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So here, if you look on screen, I'm about to change it. So Clark County would be 0 cash received, post date 995. 895. 895.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Good question.
All right, because yeah, you don't want the office to receive that as a regular check, assuming that it is. Put it in the put it in the bank, and have it come back on. Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
And what I normally will do in post-dated checks, don't get them that much, but I'll also put a small sticky note on the check.
Yeah.
So the office sees it.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
I just forgot what it was. Oh, so you want us to fill out the forms on the form on the computer and then print that out and send it so it can go ahead and do all the calculations for us?
I tell you, it's funny you say that. I like to do it this way because it's very legible, and I like to do it every cell I get. So let's say I sold 3 ads today. I'm going to add it to the computer document because what I found in the past, what I would do is I would show up to the UPS store a half hour for the trucker, and I'm scrambling my paperwork done. I don't want to do that ever again. You don't have to do it this way, because you will have physical copies of the weekly sales commission record. If you get the physical copies, you can write it, that's fine as well. Either way.
So the form that we have that we've saved, I can just pull that up and then just kit it in. Everything's saved. The formula is saved to put all the percentages in.
Yeah, everything is saved except for the bottom part where it says cash received commission, because I don't know what your commissions are. But let's say your commissions were, let me just change it back. Sorry about that noise, guys. I have no idea who that person is. So we're looking at 16,205 times 0.30%. 205.30. So my commissions right here, I would calculate if I was at 30%, I would calculate it at 48.61. Oh, lost this one. It was 41 or 48.61.50. All right, so that would be my commission. You see that on screen? And then I could print this document at the front desk at the resort or hotel, and then I could just sign this. But make a copy of it because you don't have a copy now. Make sure you have it for yourself. So I could send this in. Oh, and the other thing, guys, when sending in this actual weekly sales commission record, if you could, it's just easy on the office. If you can put your agreements in the same order that you put them on this document, that means that when they open up their package, the first agreement they'll see will be Clark County, second one will be Boulder City, third one will be Chicas, and so on and so forth. It just makes it easier for them to put everything together if you do it like that.
Okay. Mark,
Yes.
I haven't received any emails from you or any forms or anything.
Okay, no worries. Do me a favor, whoever you are, inside of chat box right here, anybody who hasn't gotten anything from me, just put your email address in that box, and I will send you that information after the call.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any questions?
Chat box.
Okay, I got to find out who that noise is because it's driving me nuts. Sorry. All right, guys, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to mute everybody. But what I'm about to cover now is one of the most important parts of our process, and that is pitching the process, pitching the actual deal. And what I'm going to show is I'm going to show you a variety of things we do in the process of pitching. And again, if you haven't gotten this information, just let me know, and I'll make sure I send it over to you. Now, I've sent you, what you have is an actual presentation. The verbiage is all laid out for you. And this is the information I use. Now, this is information I use as early as this week, okay? I just closed a couple of deals. So, you can change it if you want. If you're on this call and you've been doing this for years, no, keep your system. Your system works. There's no reason to change that. But if you're a newbie, some of the things that I share here are very helpful. So hopefully this will help you a lot as well. So one of the first most important things about advertising sales, or any sales for that matter, and this is a book that's worth picking up if you haven't before. It's called Selling for Dummies, forwarded by Tom Hopkins. He's one of my favorite sales trainers. And in that book, there's a section on rapport. I think one of the greatest struggles that a lot of salespeople have is that they're great information givers, but they're not good engagers. They don't know how to build rapport. And so what happens is if you're the actual consumer and someone comes to pitch you and yet they're just information givers, they don't connect with you. And since they don't connect with you, you say, I need to think about it, or I'm not interested. It's just a good way or a kind way of blowing the person off. However, if that consumer had someone walking into their space that connected with them, perhaps their product is not as keen as our product. But because that person was willing to connect, they were willing to engage. They were like, wow, I really like that person. They're willing to buy from them. You'd be amazed by anybody on this call who's worked in sales, and sometimes you've heard people say, I bought from you because I like you. Okay. And that's commonplace, guys. That's called rapport. You were able to engage. So the best salespeople in this game, whether they're selling this or selling anything else, are excellent engagers. And they're able to build rapport so that people feel like they can trust them. They feel like they can like them. They like them. And because of that, they're willing to make a purchase decision. I share with you my favorite example. I was working in Port Townsend, Washington. And I remember going into the market. I was doing a renewal project for a rep, and one of the things I was most surprised by was that this rep had spent most of his time selling 90% of the business in the book was restaurants. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he didn't go outside the box. What I mean by going outside the box, guys, is that there are all kinds of categories of businesses that would buy from us if only they knew we existed. That's why you need to use TripAdvisor to find out about all these different categories and take advantage of it. So what I said as one of the things I wanted to do is in my book, because I realized there was a lot of wineries in the area, I wanted to actually create a section in my book called the wineries. Okay, and there are a lot of wineries, but I only wanted 6. And so I knew that if I can get the biggest winery in the market on board, chances are I could get some of the others I wanted to go after. And so what I did, I told the office I wanted to create this section, and then I wanted to have a section with some editorial about the wine trail. And so I contacted this huge winery. And I remember calling him up, and he told me, yeah, I only have 10 minutes to meet with you. And I was like, fine. Never believe how many minutes they have to meet with you, because if you engage and you connect, they'll find time. And so I remember going to see them. This is him in 2015, I think it was 2015 or 26, 20, I think it was 2015. Yeah, I'm from Wisconsin, Milwaukee originally, and I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. And so that year, the Packers had played. They were playing Seattle, and they lost to go to the Super Bowl. And I remember walking into his location, and the first thing I noticed on his desk was a small Seattle Seahawks football helmet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to engage him on this sport that hurts my heart right now. But I knew that if I was to engage him, he would connect. And so right away, I could not believe it. I brought it up. I can't believe you're a Seahawks fan. I'm from Wisconsin. And so we go on to talk, literally, guys, for about 45 minutes about sports. 45 minutes. We talked about sports, but we connected. Now remember, I only had 10 minutes with the client. That's what he told me on the phone. 45 minutes into it, his wife is supposed to join us for the meeting. She finally comes into the cellar area that we're in. And he tells her that I'm a Packer fan. I went to the University of Wisconsin. We had this conversation. They went to the University of Washington. Make a long story short, the connection goes on for about an hour and 20 minutes. At the end of that, I finally say, hey, guys, perhaps we should talk about why I'm out here. And they start laughing. So, yeah, we made a decision. They did too, to not only go from the engagement and connection and the rapport building to a decision of purchase. They ended up buying not just one page ad, they ended up writing my editorial and purchasing a 2-page spread from me that allowed me to now go after some of the other clients. I was able to close an additional 5 more wineries for the publication. Now, I say that to say this, guys. If you can engage with people and build rapport, the chances of closing your deals are going to go up tremendously. If you're an information giver, you just show up. Hi, Mr. Johnson. My name is Mark Palmer. I have information for you. Would you like to buy? It's going to be a hard sale, guys, in our business because people like to connect with people. So be a connector of people, guys, and it'll make it a lot easier in closing the deal. So when putting together this presentation, I put together the presentation utilizing that idea of connecting and also reverse selling. So I'll read some of this to you, but you'll have this. If not, I'll make sure I send it to you. And I didn't get that email from that person who said that they needed me to email them. Make sure you email me into the chat box, guys. If you haven't, I'll make sure I send you, if you haven't seen this documentation. But this is what I use, guys. This is for my email that we started the phone call with. I will do a follow-up phone call. I'll call them if they haven't responded in email, and I'll simply say, who handles the advertising and promotion decisions for your company? Oh, that's Fred. Let me go get him. Fred gets on the phone. Hi, Fred. This is Mark Palmer. I'm putting together the concierge program for such and such hotel, and I need to find things to do for the guests that stay here annually. We have 150,000 guests that come through every year, and I wanted to see if I could stop by today to talk to you about our business, about your business, and learn more about you guys. My goal is simply, like I said, to find places for the guests, 150,000 of them, and places to spend their money while they're in town. What's a good time for me to stop by today for 10 minutes? Is 2 o'clock good or is 4 o'clock better? So, and that's how I do it, guys. This is how I book my appointments, and I book lots of them, by the way. So you book appointments, you book appointments, you book appointments. Now, this is the first part of the project, okay? So now I've booked my appointment, and now I walk in and I get my face-to-face. Hi, it's Mr. Johnson. Thank you for seeing me today. And like I said on the phone, I have to find things for the guests, that I mentioned, 150,000 guests a year. I have to find things for them to do while they're in town. So tell me about your business. Now, I'm doing this, guys, because I want to open it up, and we call it reverse selling. I want this client to now tell me about his business. Well, Mark, we've been in business. It's an actual family business, been in business for 15 years. Why, first of all, is he willing to volunteer this information? Here's why. Because Mark represents this hotel or resorts, and Mark has 150,000 guests a year, and Mark needs to find places for these guests to spend their money. That's why Mr. Johnson's about to pitch his business, guys. This is why he's doing it, because he wants access to that 150,000 guests. Now, he doesn't know how he's going to get it. He doesn't realize at the end of his presentation, I'm going to do my presentation and ask for money. He doesn't know that, but he's going to pitch me. So he tells me a story about his business. I'm like, oh, wow, I can't believe it. You guys are amazing. This is awesome, Mr. Johnson. I can totally understand how this would work really well with what we're doing. At this point, guys, I open up my guest directory. Now, keep in mind, guys, you'll have a guest directory that's in the hotel room that you're staying or the resort. You want to make sure you take that with you to your presentations, but also keep in mind we've sent you a copy of the inserts, even brand new ones. I always replace the ones that are in the rooms with the brand new ones. If my guest directory is a little scuffed up, I'm going to wipe it off, make sure it's looking real presentable, because this is my chance to make the first impression. So I'm going to tell him, say, hey, I know how we can do this. This is awesome. And tell you how our program works. I show him a copy of our guest directory. I'm going to show him copies only of the full page ads. So him and I right away, he's going to see the full page ads. If I can open it up here. Wait a second. Oops. And so I'll show him a copy of the full page ads. And the reason I show them full page ads, guys, there's a reason why I do that. I don't want the clients to buy half page ads from me. I don't want clients to buy quarter page ads from me. The reason why I only sell full page ads is because that's the only thing I show. Every client you meet wants a full page ad. The only thing that's stopping them from getting a full page ad is you and pricing. So if you and pricing can come to a happy arrangement, everyone wins. Everybody wins. Client gets the ad size he wants. You get the commission you want. And so everybody wins. And so what I do is I show him a full page ad and I say, Mr. Johnson, here's what we can do. We can actually put your message in front of our guests inside each room, hotel or guest or resort room. And we can completely design that for you, or you can provide a campaign for us to communicate your message. And then the other thing, guys, I always ask, because my guest services ally, I ask her, I say, hey, Kathy, do you have a small drawer where you guys keep takeout menus or coupon cards or discount cards? Yeah, Mark, we have them right here. Great, because I know I'm going to be meeting with a lot of possible advertisers, and some of them may want to participate and provide some items for the front desk as well. So once I've gotten that okay, I'm using that in my pitch. Mr. Johnson, we can also, and I'll show him the ad, we can also put in your ad an item where they can actually have discount cards available at the front desk or a coupon card. Now, see, I see some of these restaurants, the businesses I worked with in BC didn't have that. But yeah, I've got other businesses, and you just get that percentage point, whatever it may be, and then you've got that information that you can have in the actual ad itself. So the client gets his message directly in front of the guest in the room, and a message available at the front desk. So I show him that. I show him the size of the ads being the full page. And I also show him black and white. In some cases, I do have a black and white. Let's see. So I'll show him a full page black and white. I'll show him a full page color. I don't have any black and whites in this book. And then I'll just ask the closing question. Mr. Johnson, would you prefer to have your ad in color or in black and white? And that's how I present my pitch. And so after I've done that, the client will let me know, well, definitely want it in color. All right. So if there's no issue at this point or no objection, I simply say, Mr. Johnson, get your business card. I'll go and get your order put together. Boom. That's it. Now, here's what happens with objections. Most people hear objections because they've never built rapport. People are throwing you objections because there's no interest there, or because you never connected with them. The more you connect with people, the less objections you hear. Because literally, the only real objection that there should be would be price. And you can overcome that because you have the ability to negotiate price downward and use trade where necessary. So that's what I do. Now, if you do have a price objection, you just ask point blank, or another objection. Is there any other item? So, Mr. Johnson, other than the fact that it's priced today, you would be starting a program, a concierge program with us. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, well, Mr. Johnson, let me see if we can figure that out right now. So, and then you talk about the price point, figure out the price point that's a sweet spot for him or her, and get the deal done. If you're dealing with a client who has a partner, you will have that on occasion, or the decision is made between him and his or her spouse. Those cases, I'll ask them, is your spouse here today? If the answer is no, you can't overcome that in that moment, unless, of course, they can get their partner or their spouse on the phone, and maybe we can do it there. But what I will normally do in pitching or the actual phone call is throw this into the phone call. Mr. Johnson, is there anybody else in the office who's in charge or who helps you make those advertising decisions? Yes, there is. That's Kathy. Great. Can you have Kathy be there too? Because I would love to chat with her about the program as well. Yes. That means Kathy's in the meeting, Mr. Johnson's in the meeting, so you can close the deal with the decision makers there. In the case where they're not there, you may just have to put it off for one day and get back to them. All right? Any questions regarding the presentation? I'll mute you guys. Any questions regarding presentation? Oh.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, no questions here.
Awesome. Oh, go for it. Go for it. I'm listening. Any other questions? Any questions at all? I thought I heard somebody.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
This isn't pertaining to the presentation exactly, but is there a minimum, like for certain ad sizes? If you're, you know what I mean, it's end all be all, you're walking out the door and pull a Columbo cloak. Is there a minimum? Other than base, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so a minimum for an actual ad.
Yeah, like pertaining to the certain sizes, everything I've done always had a minimum, and really, is it just you're going after base and 25% higher no matter what? Obviously, the most amount of money we can get.
Correct.
But if it comes down to a certain situation, and you're, you know what I mean, you've got $200 on the table, $400 on the table. I just don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, here's what I would do.
Yeah, obviously I know how to handle the ad size. Hey, well, look, I'll give you this to start out if we have to, and it's $200. But is there you know what I mean?
I would say a bare minimum, if you're selling a quarter page ad, which I don't sell, but there are reps,
Right.
And the client's just like, I just really want to be in the book. I just can't afford it. John, here's what I'll do. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to give you a quarter page ad. I never do that. But John, we want you in the book. And then maybe next year, John, your business is doing better. We can upgrade you up to a full page or a half page. Okay. So quarter page in that case, I would do it for $200.
Okay. Yeah. Because I've been to a lot of small towns like you're talking about. Sometimes those people, you just know they don't have a dime to kick around on the floor. And you know what I mean? But you still want to walk out with something.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Okay. That's all I needed.
No worries.
Mark,
Yes, go for it.
is there a set premium for color over black and white?
You say, is there a set premium? Meaning, do people prefer one over the other, or are you meaning placement?
No, cost-wise.
Is there an upcharge for color versus black and white maybe?
Yeah, normally the rates that you guys will see on the rate cards, about 90% of the time will be color. If you come into a market, which like 10% of the time, you may have a book that's all black and white. In those cases, reach out to your manager and ask them, hey, I got a question for you. Can I do color in this market? They will put together a pricing specific for that. But those are rare cases. Like I said, 10% of I think probably 10%, maybe less than that. We have books that are all in black and white. And in those cases,
okay.
Otherwise, you're looking at 90% of the time the books are already colored. It's just color. Everything's colored.
Okay.
All right. Okay, guys, one of the things I want to emphasize here, and I've shared this earlier, I cannot overemphasize this, especially for those who are brand new on the call, brand new to this business. Your first week could go different than what you expect. All right. With that said, you got to communicate. Day one, you're struggling. Okay, I'm really having a hard time with this part. Communicate. Please, please, please communicate. Again, I can help you. Your manager can help you, but we can help you better if you communicate with us real time what's happening. Okay, so and again, by Tuesday you're already reporting to us, so we know how it's going. But my goal is to get on a call with you and say, okay, what can we tweak? The other part is, as I shared earlier with regard to prospecting, it's worked well for me. I'll give you a quick example. I had to do a project in the Virgin Islands last year. It was our first time. It was a digital project. So zero was on the market the year before. Our quota was $16,500. So before I ever left to go to the islands, my wife and I did about 600 emails. 600. Okay, a lot of emails, and that's a customized email each person. Out of those emails, 100% of the ads I sold came directly from the email. Now let me explain to you how much we sold. By the second week of the project, I'd already got up to about $26,000. By the third week, I was at 31,000. Project was done. Wife and I stayed and played in the islands. I'm telling you guys, when you utilize these three mechanisms for prospecting, email, phone call, face to face, you really put yourself in position to maximize results in sales. Don't limit yourself to driving around only. Don't limit yourself to email only. And don't limit yourself to phone calls only. Use them all, because if you use them all, they'll maximize your opportunity to make the best buck. So, all right. The last thing I wanted to say, guys, is if you're interested in doing a one-on-one call with me, once I get your information about your project, we can schedule that. When you get off this call, you need to just go and reach out to Carrie or Tate Ellinger and just let them know, hey, I've gone through training with Mark. I like to go ahead and get a first project. Make sure you mention your travel parameters at that point, and also your travel or your start date, when you can start. So they'll have that information so they can go and book reservations for you guys. But once I have that information and we have that, we can go ahead and take off and run with it. Randy, in answer to your question, no, we don't do any social media or social networking. I'm not sure if you're meaning by social networking with regard to organizations or memberships or things like that. Definitely, if you partner with the chamber will usually give you access to their members. But as far as social networking online, no, we don't.
Okay.
All right. Any questions? Any questions about any of the things that we've covered thus far today, guys, through the training? Because we're about to close it up at this point. Any item of question, whether it was on prospecting, job requirements, project objectives, pricing,
Okay.
planning or prepping, any of the questions, throw them out right now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay. So the next thing that we do is we reach out to Tate. I'll reach out to Tate and ask for a project. And I tell him my travel range, which is like, here, this is where I'm at. And I can go 500 miles out, and ask and tell them when I can start, right?
Yeah.
And any complications.
Yeah, and then they will you'll work on putting together project dates for you and location.
So when you first start, how soon can we look forward to receiving a project?
Carrie, if you're on the call, can you answer that for us? I don't know if you can. Wait a second. I think Carrie's on the call. Carrie, are you there?
Hello? Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. It kind of just depends on the area and what projects we have coming up during that time period. And then we just kind of all meet together and discuss where we're going to send you. It also depends on the availability throughout the hotels, depending on, like what type of season it is, if it's busy or not, and if there's availability within the hotel for us to make a reservation.
Okay, so like we're just starting, so they'll stay in touch with us and let us know. Like if I'm just starting and don't hear anything in a week or two, then I just reach out and say, hey, I'm still waiting on a project, just to make sure everything's still going forward.
Yeah, usually we can get something set up for the following week. It really kind of depends. We'll be in contact with you. If you don't hear from us within a couple of days, then I would definitely say reach out, because we might just, be a little bit wrapped up and busy. But I always am available through email and phone calls at any time. And I usually know, if Tate is not available. And I kind of have a good idea as to at least where we're thinking about sending you and a rough date. Usually it's within the next week or the following week. So 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay, so then what is your contact information?
My email address is Carrie, Cari, at guestdirectory.com.
Tari?
C as in cat, Cari.
Okay, Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
At guestdirectory.com.
Yes, correct.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. And I also have my email or my phone number if you want that as well. I can give that to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's 303-801-0524, extension 703.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Gary. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Looking forward to working with you. And like I said, just go and read everything. Take it double. Have that, I'll reach out to you and we'll set up a one-on-one to get the presentation.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks so much for taking out the time, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.